California is now vaccinating 3 million people a week, and hopefully that number has included you, or that it will, but it definitely has not included your underage children. Starting tomorrow, those 16 and older can get the shot statewide, but for children younger than that, it's still going to be a while, creating all sorts of new anxieties for parents, figuring out what they can and cannot do. And so to answer all those questions, we turn now to Dr. Crosby, a doctor at Lapeer Pediatrics and a spokesperson for the American Academy of Pediatrics. Always so great to have you on, Dr. Crosby. Thank you so much. You know, all of us parents are wondering what we can and can't do, but let's just first begin by the timeline for vaccines for children. They're not cleared yet. When do you expect that kids will be able to get these vaccines?
Well, we're lucky now, at least we can start with the teenagers, the older teenagers. So the next will be the 12 to 15-year-olds. And now that Pfizer applied for the emergency use authorization for their vaccine, probably this summer, I think we'll be able to do the 12 to 15-year-olds. I think Moderna will follow, and we'll be able to start with them. So I think we'll make a lot of headway so that when school does start, we'll have probably even less transmission than we've had, which hasn't been huge in schools when they're following protocols. So I think it's coming.
Oh yeah, it feels like it's coming. We also hear that maybe for toddlers it might be the beginning of 2022, which, fingers crossed, I think for all of us parents like myself who have those toddlers. And let's talk about parents like, myself and my wife are having this conversation, like soon we will be fully vaccinated, but we have this child who will not be vaccinated. So we're just wondering all these scenarios of what we can and can't do. So let's begin with gatherings. A gathering with another family or family members who are all fully vaccinated, but the kids aren't. Indoors, maskless, what do you think? Is that advisable for the kids?
No. So it's a bummer because if, let's say it's you, your wife, and your child who isn't vaccinated, but you guys are, and other adults who are vaccinated come over, that I think is fine, and that follows CDC guidelines. But if you have unvaccinated coming over, if they're low risk, and let's say they're not in daycare and you trust them and they're super careful, they could probably play together, but it's always still safer with unvaccinated to take it outside when you can, because if you have one family over that's not vaccinated, it's okay, but if you're mixing groups of them, it's not, it's much more concerning. So one at a time, probably fine if you feel they're safe and there's no high-risk individuals there involved.
And that's good advice, because we talk a lot about this, like very low risk of perhaps vaccinated people still having some viral load, and you don't want to give that to the kids, and this whole conversation. Let's do one more scenario, because summer's coming, summer camp, summer vacations. What do you suggest to the parents who are vaccinated? Of course, those kids aren't. How do they handle those situations?
Well, I think going to camp, you want to do your homework, you want to know what they're doing, but if you're in a state like now, California is in a good place with a 1.5% positivity rate, so quite low. And when they follow protocols, the kids aren't spreading it. So when you have low community transmission and you follow the protocols, I think kids can go to day camp, especially if it's outside and there's good ventilation and they can do activities like if they're eating, they should stay 6 feet apart. They should have their masks on, except for that kind of situation, because they're going to get close together at times. I think that some places are going to be having testing, at least before camp starts. I think you're only, if you're negative that day, fine. But I think you just have to always monitor for symptoms if they're not requiring any testing. I think it can be safe.
And Dr. Crosby, you were telling me too that one of the questions that you're hearing the most often is parents wondering, hey, my 17-year-old, should they be taking the Pfizer vaccine since it's looking like it's coming down the pike? And you say, yes, in fact, you do suggest that, which is good news for everyone at home to know. And we have so much more to talk about as these vaccines get approved and as the kids get closer. So Dr. Crosby, we look forward to having you back and talking about it.